Hi everyone, welcome back to another Heart to Heart. We're actually on the same time zone for once.
Yes, we are.
Uh, so I'm in Baltimore for my checkup, and it's we're touching on a subject that's very important to both of us. I'm sure it'll resonate with a lot of people. Uh, it's career, and I don't think we should call it SPS and career. I think we should call it chronic illnesses and career, because SPS and career it works, but I so let me just throw this in. I just had a hypoglycemia from my diabetes like I haven't had in 10 years. And the feeling that I had makes me think that it's not just SPS, it's just being sick overall and it catching up with you. So let's go back to the main topic. That was just a bit of an aside.
Mm.
But so career and being sick, what does that mean? And where are we at? So for you, go, go.
Wow. Um, Anybody who knows me and loves me will be like, how is Ilea not gonna have a nuclear meltdown while talking about career and being sick? Um, it's only because I've had almost a decade to process it. Um, I'm what you might call a workaholic, joking around, definitely applies. Um, and I was so all about my career goals that they were the only goals that I really thought of. It wasn't for me, marriage and career or this and career. It was just career, and I had a path in my mind, and I was gonna follow it. I knew when I was a little girl, I knew what age I would become an MD. I knew what age I would probably be finishing up residency and being a fully fledged attending. I was on, and I hit those marks. And so that's how determined I was. And I had a lot of fun along the way and had to, scramble to get better grades on a final or, things we all do. Um, I wasn't as perfect as I wanted to be. But career was my life because medicine was my goal. Medicine was my life, is before I had any claims to it, is my life. Even being sick and not being in the clinical world 80 hours a week like I'm used to, I still feel that medicine is what I am. It's the best of what I am. So that's not really a great way to feel when you're bedbound and not even able to do telepsychiatry, things like that, which you could imagine people might be very eager to ask you. How about telehealth? It seems like a perfect fit. Like Ilea's stuck in the bed, but she's a doctor. This is great news because now we can do it from the bed. However, having a patient in my career, having a patient means that you have that patient, and that's whether, your office is a bed, made to look like a desk or a real office. It's the same amount of, thought, responsibility, preparation, liability. Right before Leia and I filmed, like she said, we're in the same time zone. This should be perfect. We should be boppity bop. If this is work, so to speak, if this is career right now for the moment for us, I fell. And it hasn't happened in a long time that I had what I would think is sort of maybe a partial Tin Man fall. And then, so it it took something out of me and then I delayed it. But the at the end of it, I think that's why even something virtual, even all the things that it seems like that would be okay, make it work easier for us and us to extend the careers that we had. Some of them just don't work because career work for especially, being a professional is a commitment. And if you are, a person who, really wants to do well, and do right by the people you're working with and for, Peter, there's some point to where you say, okay, it's not, I'm not being that. I'm not being as perfectly, in this as I would if I wasn't sick. And you said it, it's sick. It's not about SPS, it's about chronic illness. And I can think of family members and friends that deal with all kinds of chronic illnesses, and some of them have had to change their career paths. For me, it was like I wasn't stopping talking about getting better enough to get back into work, getting better enough to get back into work. And so my team, I think, was vibing off my energy, but also it seems the right things to do by a young doctor, get them back on the job. So that fused together to sort of, I think, keep me going more years, um, in denial a little bit, about what I could do career wise. And and coming to terms with it didn't make me more sad. It didn't make me feel worse. It made me feel better, more empowered, more proud of the career that I built. And like it just didn't go away because some people went away or some, whatever went away. There's still opportunities. They're just different. And so I'm still licensed and I'm still like, clinging on, just with my, bare hands. And I know that even that kind of ambition can scare people. So I'm gonna throw that back to you, Leah, because you are a force of nature, ambitious. I've said that this time that we've known each other, with ambition, like, and that's why I feel less like some sort of monster creature when I talk with you, because I'm not the only one who was, bulldozing through the career path. And so just tell me a little bit about how it's been for you. Um, I know it's a lot to follow. It's like,
Well, I guess two things that stand out in what you tell me. First of all, can feel the emotion and the passion when you're talking. And that's the same emotion and passion I have. I always, I studied, had degrees, I worked, maybe didn't end up doing exactly what I wanted, but I worked. And it's funny you mentioned telehealth. I managed to keep my job, which I consciously decided to resign from at the end this last year. I was a director of an NGO for special needs individuals for the last 8 years. And in June, I already realized I wasn't going as fast as I used to be. I wasn't delivering the way I used to be. I wasn't the perfectionist I used to be. And I quit. But I have a huge heart as well. And I'm also like you, like I couldn't just let go. And so I went back in. And by December, I had to go back out because for me, right now, you said something interesting. So first of all, it's not like I'm not ever gonna work again. Work might just look different than what I thought it would look like the whole of my life. Yes, career and my brains were my certainty. wasn't marriage, it wasn't kids, it wasn't anything. I knew for sure that I was going to kick ass in this world at whatever I wanted to do in career. And yeah, unlike you, I'm still a bit insecure about the effect it's had on my mental health to let go of that at the moment because the moment I have to completely let go to focus on my health. And I'm sad. I'm I'm scared because for me, career, brains, uh, intellectual, all of that was just, secure. And now that I've had to just pause, and I use the word pause because I am convinced that at some point, health will give me a break. I'm going to be able to take care of myself a little bit. And I'm going to be able to do something that will look very different to what I thought I would be doing, but that would still be work because I think
Mm-hmm.
we can work. We just have to readjust our expectations, especially, I'm not trying to exclude anyone in our audience or anything. We're
Mm-hmm.
having a real, we're talking honestly here and just pouring our hearts out. But, for two people who held career very high in their esteem, I'm sure a lot of people will relate to that. Some might less because, career wasn't as important. But, you know, we're both not saying that we're giving up on work. We're just saying we're readjusting. And I guess there's also a message to the outside world is for the person who was a force of nature and who was kicking ass at what they were doing, parting a little bit or taking a step back takes a lot of maturity, takes a lot of guts. And I'm lucky I was met on the other side with people who took it for what it was and who actually recognized that what I was doing was the right thing. And that's also grateful for that. I'm so grateful for the people I worked with and who I parted ways with and who actually told me, it's good. What you're doing is good. And I'm lucky because I don't know how many people have that understanding. You're quitting your job because you're not doing well, and you have your boss telling you, actually, you know what? I think it's good you're quitting because I think you need to take care of yourself. It's a lot of emotions. It's a lot of you can see it on your face. I'm about to cry as well. Um, Point of this episode is not to, just cry but it's just to recognize that, you know, our lives change. Our lives change, especially, I, there's a next episode coming up on family and motherhood. So our life changed on several levels. So I don't want people to think that we're just focusing on career here. We've
Mm-hmm.
thought about many other topics. Just hits home a little bit harder for us on that one because we were very career orientated. But it's SPS, chronic illness, illness in general. It does, let's put it out there. It does something. It does remove something. And it's okay. And it's okay not to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to accept that things are changing and that you have to adapt and that, you know, we're fighters and that also work opportunities will come along, but differently or with less responsibility or with less stress. Um,
Sure.
I mean, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. For me, it's really fresh. It's really
Yes.
fresh. And it's funny because
I was a little worried when you wanted to do it so soon, I was like, oh, but it's a great perspective. I've had uh, some years to marinate on this and to be delusional and just, keep putting the recruitment emails in this special folder, and just you are fresh off of it, still doing, real work out there. And even, the bits that I do, I volunteer, the clinical bits that I'm hanging on to, the academic bits, they are something, but they are so, if I add them all up compared to what I used to do, um, don't even compare yourself to yourself. Especially don't compare yourself to yourself, because it as it this disease affects everybody differently. But one thing it does, and one thing I've heard here and there, is that, oh, people usually get back to work. And I'm struck by that because mostly anecdotally, evidence, just the stories we tell each other, is mostly that, you steadily decline work, especially work outside the home, etc. So since that's been, the reality that seems to ring true, when you speak to individuals, to have, people that you hear, saying this in interviews. And it's very, always shocking to me. And I don't want people to be misled either way. If your person says that, I don't think I can work anymore, really take a listen. And I want to put this out there because I think the vibe of people that are disabled, when you're, normatively abled, or whatever we might call it, when you are able, you don't really think about, being disabled. And sometimes there can be a lot of contempt and a lot of misunderstanding about people who, especially who are young, claiming they're disabled. Are they in it for secondary gain, like money, or being lazy, or, having a nervous breakdown, not wanting to do work, it being too stressful? No, that's not. A person doesn't achieve and achieve and achieve, even if it's at an entry level job. They've been doing great at it their whole career. They're not going to suddenly change and say, I think I have this strange disease, or another kind of chronic illness. It would be very strange. And so I think that's why I sort of started with, man, I was on a track, like nothing as a child. I mean, since a child, because it really, if it sort of flies in the face of that stereotype that disabled people are somehow wanting this for themselves, for whatever perks come with it, like not going to work. And I just want to put it out there that, you know, um, keeping pace with the world, I stole that from Thomas Jefferson somewhere, but yes, keeping pace with the world is actually something that a human being for their psyche needs. And Leah, by making me do social media, oh my goodness, anyone can make a deep fake of me doing whatever now. But she helped me keep pace with the world. So if your career changes, you miss out on your coffee ritual, your shower ritual, all that stuff that gives your day structure and your life meaning goes away. So you have to manufacture it, and it's much more difficult than if it's just your day, even if you don't love your job. So I just want to put that out there too, that don't judge your disabled, person, because they might have been quite able, and or on the precipice of doing something great, or just liking their simple life. And so for them, having to give the simple things up, like gardening, walking your dog, is can be heartbreaking. So when we talk about job and career, might have to be a two-parter, I'm thinking, as we go. But yeah, I think there's so many things that intersect, as Leia was saying. We both got, married the year we got diagnosed. Wow, that's a big one. So, and it intersects with career because career involves finances, career involves the sick person's sense of self. We can be quite a handful when we're feeling low self-esteem. I think we don't get any better. I don't think, I think, people would maybe agree with that. What do you think about that? How we act when we're not in our career?
So really putting myself out there, just posted a video saying that my trip was a big eye opener, not because I have a dozen new symptoms, which I do, because I'm not doing okay mentally. And I'm not doing okay mentally. Well, I just resigned. My sense of purpose um, seems to have gone. Um, I, I have low self-esteem at the moment, and I need to take care of my mental health. But all of this to come to the conclusion that, I resigned for a reason. I did not resign because I wanted to. I resigned because my standard of work or what I could achieve was no longer achievable. And I tried. And I left because I knew I couldn't do it anymore. And then you talk about disabled, but I'm also going to talk about invisible disabilities, the triggers, the stress, the responsibilities, the harm it was doing me at a point where I'm trying to at least stabilize. And surprise, surprise, I let go. And I'm not going to say I'm a mess because that would be too easy, because I'm actually acknowledging my feelings. But I'm I'm a bit lost. That's the right word. I'm lost. I'm lost because who is Leia not working? And then it asks the question going deeper, who is Leia with chronic illnesses and SPS and type 1 diabetes and so I guess it's a mourning process to a certain extent. It's and it's like you said also, like not hearing other people's judgment. And it's finances, and it's a lot of things to take in, but it's also, we got to give it to ourselves that we put ourselves first. So I guess that's also important to recognize instead of bashing ourselves like I've just done for the last 2 minutes. But it's, we couldn't do what we thought we wanted to do, or, so we stepped down to take care of ourselves. And at the end of the day, that's the most important part we have to take away from this conversation. And as much as it hurts, as much as and I know it hurts us both a lot, and I say that again to all our community, we'll handle other topics, and that may hurt Ailia and I less and hurt other people more. But very well aware that, we're career women. Not everyone is, and that doesn't matter. That's not the point. But illness took away something from us, and you know, it's okay. It's okay to talk about it, and it's humbling to see you so open about it, because I know you don't like to talk about it. I know in comparison to where I was heading, your career was you were gonna be at a psychiatry Harvard hospital. That's huge. I gotta give you that. And it doesn't matter if you're not, because today you're so much more. you're so much more for the SPS community, and you're so much more for yourself. And I think that's what we have to focus on. The fact that we can realize that it's hard and we're still crying about it. So I think we still have some way to go and convince people that we're over it. But you know, we're doing quite well. Career may take another spin. I think that's what I have to take out
Yeah.
of all this episode.
Mm.
Might not mean the simple, I don't know, the definition of career might be have to be redefined.
I like that. This sickness is a career, I notice, because my planner sometimes reminds me of my outpatient planner in third year of residency. I'll be like, oh, these aren't patients, these are my doctors that I'm seeing today. So some weeks are you have to be on the ball to have this disease. And so, I'm gonna, like you said, give a shout out, many shout outs we give, but if you are showing up to your appointments, if you've secured any sort of team, it's very difficult. And so bravo to all of us who managed to do any part of treating this getting better, trying to stabilize so that we might be able to continue at least parts of our career or at least employ our skill sets into something worthwhile. Um, how cool would it be if every person with SPS who couldn't work did SPS awareness and advocacy? That's, throwing that out there. There's not many of us, but what we have is a captive audience if we get going. So that could be career, So and I have to just put this in there. Many people have asked me, to my shock and horror, depending on what mood I'm in. Because I did, the 4 years pre-med, 4 years med school, 4 years residency, 1 year extra fellowship. Bam, that's the diagnosis here. So I suppose it's a fair question. What do you feel? Do you feel that you wasted all those years in training not to be able to then go on and manage hospital systems in New York City, as I imagined that what I was going to be doing? And so after I realized that it's a fair question, but it was a question that my mind never even thought of. Those years, I want to put that out there to younger people with chronic disease. Those years of education and training, and I think Leah might feel this, something like this too, were some of the most fun, most full, the finest of my life. And that's why I wanted to always be a career woman, because service and study, man, that's what I wanted. And that's what those years gave me, chock full of more service and study than I could have ever imagined. And I remember moments that keep me warm in the middle of a very cold night of pain. So I wouldn't trade any of it. So go forward with what you think you love, not what people tell you is going to be a waste of training, education. It's fun. And the more far you go along, the more fun it gets. That's what they don't tell you. That earlier is harder, that it gets easier and more fun and more rich and more vibrant. So you can never waste those years of study. I don't know if you feel that way, Leia, because you put in a lot for your career. Now you might have to, pivot the career. Do you find any of those years like wasted?
No, they were my most beautiful years. I was in London and
See?
I did double BA and MSc. I did some journalism. I mean, everyone saw on a couple of BNB videos when I was in London, in London. Um, I hadn't been there in a while, and the mental does wonders because I was doing really well when I was in London for a week. And that has to do with the 8 years I spent there studying. and my first jobs. And I wouldn't trade that in the world for, I would, if I had to put it on repeat, and even now, I wouldn't trade anything. Because even the person that I've become today and that I'm continuing to become is a person I'm proud of. And I can look at myself in the mirror and say, whatever comes my way, I'm going to deal with it. And I think we could talk about hours about this, but the essential was covered. But, what I'm realizing, first of all, is that you prepared me for my exit, my strong exit in December, and how emotionally it would hit. Thank you for being there. To anyone who is and trying to think that they need to exit off work, both Ilea and I are here. Just reach out to us. We're not just here for each other, we're here for all of you. Kind reminder that again, like we both said, things may not look the way we thought they would, but they might look a different way, and that might not be as bad. That might actually may be better. I don't know. Let's be positive.
Let's be positive. Let's go with the flow.
So the next one.
Okay. Thank you, guys.